Hey everyone, my name's Dale. On this channel I do spec for spec comparisons, and today I'm comparing the Toyota Tacoma SR versus SR5. And the question is it worth spending the extra money to get the SR5 model? I used to work for the equivalent of a Kelley Blue Book if you're in the US, or a Glasses Guide if you're in Europe. And I used to advise manufacturers on what spec adds value to their vehicles, and now I do this on YouTube. If you don't have time to watch this video, I do have a website called checkyourspec.com, which is linked below, where you can effectively check your spec. You can pick any car, any vehicle, any model, select from a massive list of options specific to that vehicle, and if you go down to this section here, it will basically tell you what that specification is going to be worth on today's value, on a 22 model, on a 2019 model, the future value, and it gives you totals down here for whatever you have selected. So check that out if you have time, but let's get straight into it and compare the SR versus the SR5. Both are the 2.4 litre 4-cylinder turbo engines, rear-wheel drive, 6-foot beds with the extra cab. You can change those configurations. And based on those two configurations between the SR and the SR5, you're either going to spend on the SR5 $31,590 or $36,220, which is a difference of $4,630. Just a little bit of housekeeping so we understand what we're going to go through today. The values are based on a 3-year profile, so that basically means that if you buy the vehicle today and you sell it in 3 years' time, which is a typical finance agreement, that is the value you're going to see. You're going to see the 3-year value. And I'm only valuing standard equipment, so no options, no packages, just as they come from the factory, spec for spec, standard equipment, how they roll out the factory without anybody ordering any options on these vehicles. Just want to make that clear for everybody. So we'll go down to our first piece of specification difference. So the SR comes with 17-inch steel wheels, the SR5 comes with 17-inch alloy wheels. Now, there is a value change for this. If these two vehicles had alloy wheels, there would be no value difference. There would be a 0. But because it goes from a steel wheel to an alloy wheel, it's a material property difference. Therefore, as a valuation company, and those I used to work for, we value it differently, and the value is generally around $400. Next piece of specification, color keyed rear bumper. You don't get that on the SR, but you do get it on the SR5. In terms of how that looks, if I just switch across to the Tacoma configurator, see if this can load. You can see here straight away, you've got the bumpers at the back on the right hand side on the silver model, and then there's no color keyed bumper on the back just here. So you can see the visual difference straight away on how that's going to look. There is a value change for that because it does change the appearance of the vehicle, and it's $200 is how we would generally value that piece of equipment. So it makes the SR5 look a lot better in my opinion. Come down to our next piece, which is LED fog lights. Fog lights always get an additional value upgrade, and it's generally around $250. It doesn't really matter what vehicle it's on. The SR doesn't get fog lights. The SR5 does get them. It gets a value uplift because it is a better piece of specification, and that's the value of $250. Come down to our next piece, which is a smart key system on driver's door with push button start on the SR, and a smart key system on the driver and front passenger door with push button start. So effectively you just get in the passenger door side where you can do the smart key system. A little bit of value for that. I've put $100 on it. It's more of a convenience thing on being able to unlock the vehicle from certain sides, certain sides, depends on what side you're on. But $100 I've added in terms of the value there. Next piece of standard equipment is on the SR you get manual day-night rearview mirror, and on the SR5 you get an auto-dimming rearview mirror. Again, debatable whether this is worth any value. Personally, I think auto-dimming rearview mirrors are worth the value if you've used one and you've used a vehicle without it. Definitely makes a difference when people are shining their lights in your rearview mirror as you're driving along the road. So $75 for that, not a massive increase, but enough to make a difference. Come down to our next piece of spec, which is that the Class 4 towing hitch and wiring harness with 7-pin, 4-pin connector is an option on the SR and is standard on the SR5, and this will likely be the piece of equipment that sways your decision on whether or not you should get the SR5 or not. I valued it at $400. You can buy tow hitches online for around that money, or less or more, depends. But from factory with the warranty installed by Toyota themselves, it's probably worth the $400 that I've assigned to it here, rather than a lesser value. So that's why I valued it at $400. Come down again, we've got blind spot monitor with rear cross traffic alert. Won't go into this too much, but we don't add value for safety equipment because it incentivizes manufacturers to add safety on certain trim levels, and we just don't like to incentivize that with a monetary value. So it doesn't matter what they put on their vehicles in terms of the safety equipment. If they add it on, if they don't add it on the lower trim levels and then only add it on the higher trim levels, we still add a zero value. It wouldn't matter what it is, because we don't want to incentivize the manufacturer to do that. Now, something I wasn't going to do, but I've included it because it is kind of important, which is that the powertrain horsepower is different between these vehicles. On the SR you get 228 horsepower, and on the SR5 you get 278 horsepower. There is a calculation that I know what to do based on what my old role was for those companies. And based on that calculation, if you took the difference between 278 and 228, did the maths for it, it would come out to $750. So that's what you would get in terms of value, or how a pricing company would value that difference. So if you took out all the spec, everything was exactly the same, and it only had the difference in the engine brake horsepower, that is the value it would come out at, $750. So all said and done, you're going to pay Toyota $4,630. That spec I've just showed you with the tow bar and all that good stuff is worth $2,175, which means you're going to lose over 3 years $2,455, or 53% of the value, which I don't think is too bad. Now, I was leaning more towards the SR initially when I was thinking about this, but I think the quality of life improvements and the tow bar and just the general visual appearance, going from steel wheels to alloys, the color key bumpers, and the colored wing mirrors and stuff like that, it does look like a better vehicle overall. So my initial thoughts were just get the SR, but having looked at it as a total package, taking away the values somewhat, just looking at that vehicle on a forecourt, looks better, represents more. I think it's worth getting the SR5. So that's my opinion. That's what I valued it at. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, please like it. If you want to see more, please subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.